Welcome to the Real Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by
the Resilience Doctor,
Dr. Sheka Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL resilient framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out.
The Resilience Doctor.
Alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. The implementation of the alignment framework prevents some of the most common problems in education, where leaders sometimes aren't sure where to start, or in our new age of educating, leaders need a trusted sounding board that allows them to be vulnerable and transparent, preventing loneliness at the top. The framework doesn't just help leaders, but also prevents teachers from burning out from too many initiatives and embracing teachers as they are the experts. Finally, the framework extends to the children, helping them get engaged in school and solving a nationwide problem. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water, succinctly creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in
the Resilience Doctor
to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. Take a look. People who work with
the Resilience
describe them as
Doctor
an excellent and inspiring group of leaders. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
It's Super Saturday, everyone. Welcome to episode 262 of the Real Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate and your very own Resilience Doctors. I'm Dr. Sheka Houston.
Good morning, everyone, and I'm Dr. Tammy Taylor. We have been talking a lot about synergy for these past few months and how students work together, how adults work together, and how entire schools become stronger when people understand themselves and are able to understand and work with one another. But today we want to just take one step back, and we're going to think about one thing, because before people can create synergy, they have to feel like they belong. So today's episode is going to be belonging comes before synergy.
Absolutely. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome. And if you're wondering who we are, as we've stated, we are the Resilience Doctors, former teachers, assistant principals, district level leaders, best-selling authors, children's book authors, speakers, school improvement practitioners and founders of Create and Educate. So, after improving our schools 2 and 3 report card levels in 1 year, people started to ask, what did you do differently? And that led to the development of our REAL framework, and that's real with 2 L's, and that you see at the top of the pane and over our shoulders. That acronym stands for respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. So today we transform schools from the inside out by aligning people, culture, and systems. And that's through that framework and through synergy that really starts with the door of the framework, which is one of those very important pieces. So before we can synergize, we have to know that there is a place for us. And that's what we're going to be talking more about today with a kind of a personal story from both of our lenses, because we both have experienced some of these sports activities with my daughters and Tammy's niece.
Yes, and we are excited to get into the work with you this morning, but we want to make sure everybody knows that if you aren't able to bring us in, Shika told you what we do. If you're not able to bring us into your school, we're very committed to bringing school improvement to you each and every week through the Fantastic Four PD network that we are so humbled to be a part of. We in that Fantastic Four PD have impacted over 300,000 educators and approximately 7 million students. You can join us right here each Super Saturday beginning at 10 a.m. with our brother in this work, Principal Sean Hurd. And then at 10:30, yours truly, Shika, and I follow in the Real Academy. And then at 11 a.m., the Go Principal Baruti Kafele comes on in the AP and New Principals Academy. And then on Sunday evenings, we round out that Fantastic Four with the PGP podcast with Dr. Marty Moreno and Principal Josh Tovar. So please continue again to join us if you can. Get us into your place.
Absolutely. And um, you can tell condolences to Brandon and his family and Michelle. He's not with us. And we know you can tell because not one of you all's comments has been placed up.
Yeah.
So while
Let
I'm
me
doing the
find it.
announcements, Tammy, if you could
Yeah,
start
let me
on
get up there and
the
find it.
comments. But yes,
All right.
condolences to
Sorry.
the entire family.
Yes.
So, just a few announcements this morning. We are excited about October, and you can register for this conference. So, it is being sponsored, the regional conference in Canada and Nova Scotia, by NAPSB. So, please look into it. Contact Miss Queen Jacqueline Harriet. She will get you the information, and there's even some flight incentives that I saw that they posted as well. We're also excited about Coach Fest coming up in November. So if you have coaches in your district or at your school, consider sending them and send them our way to our session. And continue to log on with WGCD Radio to Parents Are First Teachers. And if you haven't picked up your copy of Amir's Awakening, you can do that today. All right. So did you
Yeah, I'm here.
okay, so shout outs to Chancellor Rashard Davis from Las Vegas. Thank you for joining us. Coach Dot McKeever Jeter. We all appreciate everything she does to get these platforms going and tagging people. Miss Queen September Devance Vance Daniels. We always appreciate her as well for tuning in. Constant Sherrod out in Pearl, Mississippi. We always appreciate you and your shares on LinkedIn. Our brother in the work, Principal Josh Tovar. He's also a part of the Fantastic Four, as Tammy mentioned. He's on the treadmill. The GOAT is here, Principal Kafele. We're looking forward to your great session today. And it was a great session last week as well. And let's see where we are. Kenyale Sessions, Principal Kenyale Sessions out of Oklahoma. Thank you for joining us. And we have Dr. Sinitra Williams with us. Thank you for joining us. Queen Stacy L. Joy, thank you for joining us out on the West Coast. Queen Jacqueline Harriet, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Miss Lynette Wilson, thank you for joining us. Coach Central, or he's at the district level now. Central out of Texas, thank you for joining us. Central Hicks, is that the last one, Tammy?
Yes, I think I have everybody else.
Okay, so we appreciate each and every one of you all. You could be doing a lot of things and you are intentional about being here. Queen Arcella, thank you for joining us. So we are going to get started. Get back to
Yes, we are so excited to have this conversation with you guys this morning because we really believe um, that this is an important discussion. And it actually, Sheikah, came from a real life experience that you have had very recently. And I think it's important because sometimes it really makes a difference when you go through something. It takes us experiencing something personally to make us look at things differently, even if it's a practice that we've seen or even practice ourselves throughout our entire careers.
absolutely, Tammy. And before I get started with the story, I just want to preface this by this is in no way a critique of the school. It's only a reflection. Basically, what I'm saying is I've been a principal. I've had multiple sports teams at my school, and I'm wondering now as I reflect on this why I didn't think more deeply about it before. But sometimes it takes becoming the parent or being on the other side of a familiar practice for us to stop and reconsider. So the title of the story is The List on the Gym Door. So one of my daughters recently tried out for volleyball. She went to all of the summer sessions. She was so excited, so dedicated. She practiced. She showed up, intruded on mama's schedule because I had to get her there. I had to, pick her up at my lunch in the middle of the day and then get back to work because I'm year round. I'm there all the time. I don't get to leave. So um and let me say this as well. I know that attending the summer sessions does not guarantee anybody a spot on the team. So we know that there's limited spots. The coaches have difficult decisions to make, and the girls tried out. So again, this is not about the coach, what they did, or the school, because she didn't make the team, but she's okay. But this is what made me think. So the girls were notified the way that we have probably notified children on teams for 50 or more years. There was a list posted outside the gym. That's what we do. The students, they walk up, they look for their number on the list, and then the number wasn't there. So my daughter looked, her number wasn't there, and understandably, she was upset. So as a mother, she was hurt. So I was hurt. I was upset too. But the educator in me made me think. Now, I've been a principal for multiple years. I've managed or been over, the sports at the school, not coaching them, but they were under my leadership. So I've had students to walk up to this list, just like this one, and I don't ever remember stopping to think, what does that moment feel like for the child whose number is not there? And we've done this forever. We post the list, the students check the number, done, check off the list. But does the fact that we've done something for decades mean that this is the best way to do it? So I started to wonder, could we add something to the process? What about authentic feedback? So imagine hearing, you did a really good job with this, but here's an area that I would like to see you improve upon. So work on this skill, but come back next year and try out again. So that doesn't change the outcome. This is not the middle school, everybody gets a trophy, because I know that's what Josh probably gonna put in the comments. Everybody doesn't get a trophy at the middle school. We've heard that criticism multiple times. But for 12 spots, and 12 spots on the team, it changes the experience of the outcome. So instead of my number isn't there, I wasn't good enough, maybe the students leave thinking, well, I didn't make it this time, but I know what I can work on. So that's different. We got all of these posters hanging up in our schools talking about the power of yet. But are we actually practicing the power of yet in all of our practices? So, just as I reflected on this, I'm hoping that I'm encouraging some people to reflect on it as well, because that's different when you leave with hope, when you leave with growth. That's belonging even in the disappointment. And then there's something else happened in the parent group, because we're going through this devastation now. We're mourning the loss of not being on the team. Somebody told me about, oh well, there's the rec league. So this, I'm not a sports person. I've heard about the rec leagues, but I didn't really know what all was entailed with that. So we went to the rec league, and shout out to all coaches, school rec league. I have an entirely new respect now for the rec league coaches, because what I learned was this is a place where she can go try out. And so they had 10 and under volleyball groups. 80 girls showed up. They all on teams. 12 and under volleyball group. 80 girls all showed up. They all on the team. So now it's everybody is belonging to something now. They still want to learn. They still get to improve. They still get to wear a uniform. They still want someone cheering for them. And because of the rec league, now they have something to belong to. So it's not that I didn't make it. Now it's, well, I belong to something too.
Yeah, I'm tell you what. And Josh said, "How in the world are you reading his mind?" But I wanted to just echo the shout out to rec leagues, because I do understand how the intricacies of the rec league work, and how that does create a whole different type of synergy that we're not necessarily talking about today, because all of my nieces and nephews that are not middle and high school age who play on the actual school teams are in rec league sports. They do rec cheer, rec softball, baseball, football, basketball, soccer. So yeah, I'm very familiar with that rec league as well. And those community opportunities really do matter, because everybody might not make the school team.
Mhm.
Everybody might not make the varsity team. Everybody may not make the, they might make the team, but they may not make the starting five. But that doesn't mean that their desire to be a part of something is not there. So we really, really have to, I think, be mindful of the fact that we have to do what we need to do to make sure we're supporting children. And I'm very excited to hear, Shika, your perspective, because I do think that, I think in one of the comments, Kenyelle actually said that um, hindsight is a powerful tool, because in hindsight, our vision is always, always, always so much clearer, because you can see things not just through the lens that you're operating in at that moment, but you can see things from a totally different perspective. So I applaud you, and I'm glad that the rec league was an option because again, it's a very different kind of belonging that you get to have when you are there. And we want to make a distinction. I want to be clear and make this important distinction. Belonging does not mean that everybody makes the team. It doesn't mean eliminating standards, and it doesn't mean that everyone is going to receive the same outcome. So, Josh, we're not saying that you just automatically get to be a part of the team, but we're talking about how to create that sense of belonging, maybe through different alternatives, and in this case, the alternative, which I'm glad was available, was the rec league.
Absolutely. And then now we're even thinking about community partnerships.
Yes.
So, what if they heard that feedback with, and here's a community partner that you could go to and get that practice that I'm saying that you need? Because, see, I had to hear about the other league from another parent, and I'm not a
Yeah.
sports person, so I had no idea that this was even in existence. So just really being intentional, you're
Mhm.
right, we are not saying everybody gets picked, because I'm not a proponent of that. um Everybody doesn't get a spot, and we're asking, can every child leave the process though with their dignity intact? And there's a difference. So we can maintain high expectations, we can make the difficult selections, we can hold students accountable, and we can still communicate in a way that preserves belonging. So we don't have to have children who don't have all of their faculties intact. They don't have fully developed frontal lobes, but we're expecting them to be able to stand up here in front of everybody looking at this list and people saying, well, did you make it? Did your number up there? You on the team? And they about to fall apart because they didn't. So here's the leadership lesson that was taken from this: rejection without feedback can feel like a dead end. And we are going to relate this whole conversation to things that we do in practice in schools with teachers, because this goes into our coaching and feedback with teachers as well, and feedback in the classroom. But feedback can create a next step. Imagine a simple process. You showed strength in these two areas. Here is the skill you need to develop. What if we had strengths based assessments in academics? Wow, this is where you're strong, but this is where we need to do a little bit more work. Maybe if we didn't deflate the children with our red grades on there, just telling them everything they got wrong, they might be motivated to show up and do something differently than they have been doing. So, here are some opportunities where you can continue playing. Come back next year. That's not lowering the bar, that's helping students understand how to reach it.
Yes, ma'am. And great analogy, Shika. And I think that's also good teaching. We wouldn't give students a grade and refuse to tell them what they needed to do to improve it. So it's worth asking whether there are other areas of school life where students deserve meaningful and developmental feedback too. So I think that's a great analogy. The next thing, and we're going to go on to this point because I want it to be clear again. We have to be willing to examine the traditions that nobody questions,
Mhm.
because honestly, this story goes beyond volleyball. Every school has some practice that exists because that's just how we do it. That's how we've always done it. That's the Tammy Taylor way.
Absolutely, Tammy. And the biggest tradition is killing two of the biggest institutions that we rely on, and that is school, and because we're women of faith, the church. So I had to check myself because I was a principal, And this was something that I had to stop and question. So sometimes leadership awareness comes when you're forced to experience your system from another seat. So
Yep.
what does this process feel like for a student? That was never a question that I had before, because this is, like you just said, it's the way we've always done it. They've been putting these lists out for 100 years, probably more than 50. What does it feel like for parents? What does it feel like for the teacher when we're giving them or not giving them those conversations that they need and just leaving our little slips of paper in their rooms to tear them down? And not that you do it on purpose, but sometimes when
No.
you get too busy and you don't go back to get a feedback, this is where it goes to a dead end. So does our process work? But how do people experience our process? And that is a completely different question. So the next point, point four, belonging comes before synergy. And this brings us right back to our synergy lab that we've talked about for weeks. Team awareness, communication, collaboration, understanding differences. But think about it. How can I synergize with a group if I don't even believe that the group has a place for me? Belonging says, I am seen, I have value, there is a place where my gifts can develop. Then synergy says, so now let's figure out how our gifts work together.
Yes, that's why belonging has to come first. Whether we're talking about students, teachers, leadership teams, or families, people connect differently when they know I matter here. That I have a place, a respected place here.
Absolutely. And as we do each week, we're going to connect this to our real framework. So, the door, respect. Honor the humanity of the person, even when the answer is no. You can still have, we always say, put humanity in the help. We can still maintain the dignity. Excellence, maintain standards while giving people pathways to grow. Accountability, give honest feedback about what improvement requires. Literacy, learn to read the human impact of our systems. How many people have gone through to really experience their own systems? They have that whole show where the boss goes into the workplace and pretends to be a person who's coming to
Yes, an
patronize the
undercover
place.
boss. I watched that
Yeah,
one time. That
undercover
is
boss,
so
to see
good.
what it feels like to be in that space. How many of us have actually ridden our car lines to see if they're horrendous or if they working? Leadership, have the courage to rethink practices simply because there may be a better way.
Honey, and that last one is so important because good leadership is not saying we've done it this way for 50 years. They were doing it this way when I got here, and I don't see why we need to fix anything that's not broken. And you have to teach your people that, okay, maybe it isn't broken. However, there may be a better way because what great leadership is going to ask is knowing what we know today, is there a better way?
Absolutely, Tammy. Now you're cooking with gas. So
Honey.
here's today's real reflection. What is one long standing practice in your school that you need to experience from the student's perspective? Maybe it's athletic tryouts, maybe it's auditions, maybe it's your awards program, maybe it's discipline. Maybe it's the advanced classes and how they're selected to get in there. I found out some surprising things on that front too. Maybe it's student leadership, but ask yourself, does our process only communicate an outcome, or does it help students understand what comes next?
Yes, because belonging doesn't mean that everybody's going to get everything that they want. It just means that even if the answer is not this time, we don't have to make children or even our adults feel like the answer is not you.
Absolutely. And that's what this experience reminded me. My daughter is fine. She on the rec league team. She gonna have a Powerade shirt on. So she found another opportunity. She gets to play. She gets to grow. She gets to belong to something. But her experience made this educator, me, former principal, and mom stop and rethink a practice that I had seen put into place for years. And that is what awareness does. It makes us notice what we didn't notice before. And at Create and Educate, we transform schools from the inside out by aligning people, culture, and systems by doing this very thing, putting that awareness in the forefront, starting with knowing yourself, knowing me, knowing we, and knowing why. And this is how we all synergize. So we hope that you all have a real amazing Super Saturday. Tune in to Principal Cafele next. Tune in to Josh and Dr. Marty Moreno on Sunday. And then right back here on Super Saturday, starting off with Principal Sean Hurt, yours truly, Create and Educate at 10:30, and Principal Cafele at 11. Thank you all.
Saturday.